to all of you. Thanks for taking the time to come down today to our presentation. I know it's mandatory, but I really appreciate it anyway. Today we'll be selling you Kazakhstan. Alright, not the whole thing is a bit expensive. We will be selling you in particular an area and industry that you can focus on in Kazakhstan. So let's go through the content very quickly. We're going to be going through a short country profile of Kazakhstan in case you don't know where it is. We'll be doing an industry analysis. We'll be looking at the demographics of the population of Kazakhstan, the communication-specific kind of areas, that's a hint of what we'll be doing, and the conclusion we'll be wrapping up. And these will be covered by my teammates later. So, this is Kazakhstan's picture of Kazakhstan. It's in the Central Asian region. It's a very beautiful country, surrounded by Russia, Mongolia, China, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Turkey, and of course, you can't see it, it's the Caspian Sea, with Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan. So it all sounds quite similar to you, but actually they're very different. Why is this so different? Because Kazakhstan is unique in one way. Unlike all the other countries in the Central Asian region, it has experienced a very high GDP growth on average for the past 8 years. You look at these figures, they don't mean much to you, but if you work some quick calculations and mentally you work it out, it's about 9.75% growth, GDP growth. And GDP is a measurement that we use to measure how well the economy is doing. So if you think about it, 9.75 compared to maybe Singapore's 4%, projected at 3% this year, it's quite high, I'd say. So what actually contributed to this high growth? Well, if you look at it, we can break down the GDP growth by industry. The three main industries that contribute to GDP growth in Kazakhstan are agriculture, manufacturing, and services. These numbers quite big and impressive, but the one we want you to focus on is this one. Why is it so different? Because unlike the rest of the countries in the region, the Central Asian region, this number is about 20% higher if you compare it. So like, you might wonder what does it mean by 20% more? It actually means that this thing is moving up. We have this theory by Colin Clark, this economist, who proposed that economies develop in three sectors. Basically the primary, secondary, and the tertiary level. Primary is like when you mine for oil and you prospect for ores and stuff like that. When you go on to the secondary level, it's when you develop it with resources. Manufacturing comes into that. The last one is services. The service industry is very broad. It's so broad that we've actually listed a few. We have banking, finance, insurance, tourism, hospitality, government, and telecommunications. It's quite wide, it's quite varied. We don't really want to focus on the first three because, you know, the economy is not doing so well. So we'll look at the last one instead. Well, best for last, telecommunications industry. So actually, let me just give you some brief introduction into why the service industry in Kazakhstan is so good. There's some factors for this. Those factors are a highly skilled workforce, a low labor cost, despite the high levels of education, an infrastructure that's already in place that doesn't require further development, too much further requirement, a high education rate, which is the same as the service side skills, but this is education in general, good global standing, and more specifically in the region, which is quite important. If you noticed the region earlier, it's in all those countries that have the highest potential for growth right now, today, such as Russia and China. And the reason why it's in good global standing is because it has very sound government policies and direction. But the best part is that all of these are sustainable in the long term. And I'll be explaining all of these through my group members to you later. But so first, let me give you a brief, let me go on past you to David, who will give you a brief overview of the economy.
Good afternoon all. Today, the country that we are promoting is Kazakhstan, and the sector that we are promoting is the telecommunication sector within the service industry. To do this, we'll first take a brief look at the overview of the Kazakhstan economy. So you can see by the numerous trading partners that Kazakhstan has, her economy is very, very well established on the world stage. What this means to you as an investor is that there is no need for special effort on your part to break into new markets. In contrast, less developed economies tend to have few or no available networks for you to tap into. Secondly, geographers have found that the expansion of an economy is fueled by the availability of transportation as well as the provision of telecommunication networks. Only when these two conditions are met will the economy expand. However, this process is very cyclical in nature. That means that if you are able to seize this opportunity and invest, you will be able to capture a significant portion of the market and thus guarantee you long-lasting demand for your goods and services. That is why you should invest as soon as possible. Another sector of the economy that must be considered before investing is the labor force. As you can see, the Kazakhstan labor force is split up essentially amongst three sectors. They are the agriculture, the manufacturing, as well as services industries. With 50% of the workforce devoted to the service industry, it is no surprise to find that the workforce is primed and trained for the harsh requirements of the service industry. What this means to you is that it translates into major savings in terms of training costs. With such a readily available workforce, all it takes is your investment to fully capitalize on the available opportunities in the market, and thus guaranteeing you returns on your capital. Other than the distribution of the labor force, of pertinence is the labor profile. Here we are looking at the total size of the labor force, the average wage rate, the average length of education, as well as the literacy rate of society. As you can see, the average wage rate is actually very, very affordable in consideration as when you consider that the average unit of labor in Kazakhstan has 15 to 16 years of education. A closer look at the education system will show that these 15 to 16 years translates into 3 or 4 years of university education or equivalent vocational training. This could be due to the fact that Kazakhstan has compulsory education up to the secondary level. This would definitely account for a high education level compared with Singapore. Of interest also are the 3 international universities within Kazakhstan. These 3 universities are joint ventures between Kazakhstan, the United States of America, and the United Kingdom. This shows that the education system in Kazakhstan is world class and that the degrees offered by Kazakhstan are internationally recognized. Finally, we'll take a look at the gross enrollment ratio chart. This graph shows the upward trend of enrollment within the 3 levels of education in Kazakhstan. Of special note is the tertiary level. In comparison, only 25% of Singapore's workforce is educated in the university. With such a well-educated workforce and affordable wage rate, the market is ripe for the picking. All it needs is a gentle push from you in the forms of committed investment, and your investments are bound to take flight. I will now pass on to Victor, who will elaborate and extrapolate on the demographics of Kazakhstan.
Okay. Thank you, David. Okay. Demographics is certainly an important factor when considering the potential of investing in any country. When we examine the demographics of Kazakhstan, we will notice that Kazakhstan is a relatively youthful nation. It has a growing population, which is in stark contrast to the aging population that is present in more developed countries. In a business context, this translates to having an ever-increasing pool of labor which your businesses can tap on. Usually, countries with a growing population do not have that highly educated workforces. However, Kazakhstan is in a unique position whereby it has both a growing population and an educated workforce. In fact, the high levels of education has led in a trend of high levels of migration out of Kazakhstan. This is a symptom of outflow of talent which can be halted by the timely creation of jobs by your investments. As far as demographics are concerned, it doesn't get better. Now, we'll take a look at the aspect of geographical integration. To be honest, Kazakhstan's geographical integration is outstanding. Regionally, Kazakhstan's strategic geopolitical position has allowed it to take full advantage of booming economies of neighboring countries China and Russia. Furthermore, Kazakhstan places much emphasis on maintaining good foreign ties. In fact, Kazakhstan was pivotal in fostering cooperations within the Central Asian region. This has contributed greatly in the rapid growth Kazakhstan has been experiencing recently. Internally, Kazakhstan has a sound transportation network and public utilities. Yet Kazakhstan still places much emphasis on continually developing its infrastructure. The government has placed much emphasis on the telecommunication sector in particular. With this kind of a support, the telecommunication industry is set to be a highly profitable sector for both foreign and local investments. I'll hand the time over now to Wan Ying to elaborate more on telecommunications. Thank you.
Thank you.